Welcome back to the woods at Lone Pine Tarot, or welcome if you're stepping into this space for the very first time. Today's pick a card reading is about a change that is happening within, a hidden strength that is stirring beneath the surface. 3 possible paths appear ahead, each revealing what this strength or power is and the fateful direction it is guiding you toward. For some, this awakening brings courage, for others, clarity, and for a few, perhaps a new sense of purpose that could change everything. Here are your 3 pile leaders today. On the left for pile 1, your leader is potential. In the middle for pile 2, your leader is limits. And on the right for pile 3, your leader is support. Take a moment to breathe and choose the one that calls to you. But when you are ready, your timestamp is waiting below in the description. I'll meet you in your reading. Hello there, pile number 1. Welcome to your Hidden Strength and Where It Is Leading reading for today. And of course, as you recall, you were drawn to potential as your pile leader. Now the keywords, I didn't read them before in the intro, but they do say confined versus infinite. So very fitting for a Hidden Strength reading. I think right off the bat, because of the meaning of this card, this Hidden Strength is something that maybe you've already had a bit of a taste of in life so far, but this near future of yours is where it's really going to come to fruition and blossom and bloom in... I'm getting a sense intuitively that it's something to do with a victory it's going to lead you to, some sort of success, but of course we'll see with the other details from the Oracle cards. So let's pull those right now, speaking of. So calling on Spirit for your highest, best good. Can you tell us more about pile 1's hidden strength that's coming to the surface? What is this strength of theirs? And I forgot to mention in the intro, pile 1, this could be a strength that's like a part of your personality that's becoming stronger. It could be courage in some way. It could be a physical, literal strength, either, well, literally, or like your creativity, things that you're able to make, or it could be a mental strength too, or emotional even. So let's see what they have to say. Well, speaking of mental and creativity, we have the Poet with the element of fire, which fire in cartomancy is often the element of creativity, as I said. And the keywords are relationships, but also vulnerability. So there's actually a little bit of a water feeling there too, because actually in cartomancy, oftentimes water is related to our relationships and our emotions, aka, well, like it says, vulnerability. So far, elementally, this feels like this hidden strength is where your creativity and your emotions and sensitivity interconnect. I'm almost getting the feeling that in the past, pile 1, you often... do you tend to be a sensitive person? Like highly sensitive person, I guess is the technical term. And I think maybe if that applies to you in the past, you kind of considered that as a weakness, or maybe other people did. Because unfortunately in our modern world, we consider sensitivity a weakness sometimes. I don't personally, but you know how it works if you're sensitive. Been there myself. But anyway, so you might have considered it a weakness of some sort. But I think that's part of where this hidden strength is coming from for this victory, pile 1. I think it's actually turning into something that'll be really helpful to you. And then we have Cat, which says a two-faced friend, from the first tea leaf for you today. And then from the second half of the tea leaves, let's draw that. Some of you might even be writers, if not literally a poet. Or music, actually, of course, is poetry and it's lyricism. So then we have Bell with announcement. So an announcement of some sort. I think wherever this is leading you, pile 1, it's going to be kind of a surprise. Because when I think of announcement, I think of something that hasn't been obviously like prominent yet. It's going to be announced very soon in the future. I think it actually might be an opportunity coming forward that leads you to using this skill or this strength to get you to that victory that I've been sensing and picking up on. Lots of good things coming so far. I know Two-Faced Friend looks kind of negative on the surface, but we'll see what else pops out before I expand on that. Then from the Woodland Wardens today, we have the Frog and the Lotus with number 6. And the tagline or keyword is Metamorphosis Change. And, you know, it's interesting. I was talking about that sensitivity earlier, pile 1. And it kind of makes me think of how a tadpole changes into a frog. Of course, you know, frogs aren't super strong themselves, right? But especially compared to what they were as a tadpole, they're a lot more strong, whereas tadpoles are a bit more, they're tiny, they're more sensitive, as all baby animals are, right? So once again, it just makes me think of that sensitivity of yours changing into something that actually really benefits you with this victory coming forward for you. And the lotus, of course, is, at least in my personal interpretation, I think in a lot of people's interpretations, tends to represent a time where we have grown through a lot of difficulty, aka metaphorically the mud on the bottom of whatever water body the lotus is growing on. And then finally, after it grows up through the mud, it comes to the surface like all water lilies do. And it finally blossoms and it blooms. So I think not just the strength is stemming from not just your sensitivity, pile one, and your creativity, but I think it's through a lot of hardship that you've been through so far, which makes total sense because 99.99% of art that I have ever seen, I've ever made myself, all of us we've ever listened to, looked at, enjoyed in general, has been usually from human struggle. That's usually where a lot of creativity comes from. Of course, also love, and of course, also hopeful things. But I think you especially, this is something coming from your struggle. And I wonder if it is struggles related to your sensitivity, having been sensitive, earlier in your life. Well, and still, right, to this day. But of course, as we grow older, we do tend to grow a little bit more of like a shield or a shell against the world with being highly sensitive, although it's still there. And like I said, sometimes we see it, and modern society kind of sees it as a weakness, but actually, pile one, at least in my personal opinion, that high sensitivity is actually a great strength because that's where you get a lot of your understanding of other people. So that's like that water energy I was telling you about with, relationships and vulnerability. And also, water, of course, came up with the frog and the lotus because they're both, water-dwelling things, living beings. So it's like that sensitivity and the vulnerability on the one side, but channeling and alchemizing that water energy into fire energy of creativity and your ambitions and your willpower and success, like I was saying before. So yeah, if I had to put a pin in it, if I had to say my greatest inkling as to what this is tangibly, I almost wonder if a lot of you are going to be creating a creative project that succeeds because of this inner strength of where your sensitivity and your creativity interconnect. Now, we do have two-faced friend. Like I said, on the surface, that kind of looks negative. I almost wonder if a part of your struggles with your sensitivity have been either maybe people have been kind of two-faced with you in the past, or maybe just very recently there's been one prominent example of a two-faced friend so far, and maybe that's been hurting you a lot. But like I said, I think a lot of our creativity comes from pain. So you might be inclined towards creating something or writing something, whatever it might be, that is inspired by this two-faced friend, or at least your experience with them, or in general. It could not just be one person, as I said, it could be just your experience with two-faced people overall throughout your life, because that's another thing is I think highly sensitive people, we tend to have a really good understanding of human emotions because, we're highly sensitive ourselves. And so I don't know, there's something there with your insight I'm hearing intuitively that's going to be very integral to how this creative project reaches people, okay? Because that's really the key of art. That's always the best advice I've always heard with creating things. It was in writing classes I took when I was younger, is to always write truthfully or write in a way that, what was the way my professor put it? I can't remember the exact phrase he used, but basically he was saying when you write something that is true, write with specificity, that's what it was. When you write with specificity, or whatever creative project it might be, as I said, it could be other things, that is where you touch the hearts of other people. Because when we write with specificity, or make with specificity, I guess, that is where other people can see within your art and the things that you create themselves and their own experiences in it. And that is how you touch hearts, at least in my own personal opinion. So really it's leading you on a path, pile one, of reaching out to other people that are also probably highly sensitive, number one, but also reaching out to other people that maybe have experienced a lot of betrayal in their life with two-faced friends, or just the two-faced nature of humanity sometimes in general. And I'm very curious, too, about announcement. As I said, I think it's something new. I think this opportunity is coming along that you don't really expect. You kind of might be blindsided by it at first, but let's keep going. Let's look at your tarot cards to be sure. So, calling on Spirit again. Could you tell us a little bit more about this? Oopsie. If I can hold the cards together. Tell us more about this situation for them. And I almost wonder too, Pile 1, if you've been a little reluctant to release or fully start working on whatever creative project this is because of your high sensitivity, because that's the double-edged sword of high sensitivity, at least in my experience, is that sometimes we're afraid to release things out there because we're afraid of rejection or we're afraid of people criticizing us. So that might be part of where the reluctance comes in. But then, speaking of criticizing, your inciting incident card is the Five of Swords, which can mean like conflict, or especially being a swords card, which is air in tarot, that can be fear of battles with communication. Maybe you're afraid of people speaking out and being like, oh, well, I don't know if I like this thing that Pile 1 created or whatever, normal whenever you release something creative. There's always going to be one naysayer. It just naturally is what happens, right? But there's also a lot of people that will come forward and probably really appreciate what you do because, as I said, it touches their hearts through your specificity throughout the creativity of what you're creating, right? And on top of that, the Five of Swords is an inciting incident card. Once again, makes me think maybe you had a fight with a two-faced friend because not Two of Swords, blah. Five of Swords, I said two because of the two-faced card. The Five of Swords can mean, like, we literally got into conflict with another person. Sometimes it can mean petty conflict. Maybe they started something with you that really just, in the end, you're like, well, why did it even matter? Like, why were they fighting with me over that dumb thing? Sometimes that's what the Five of Swords can represent. No one really wins in a Five of Swords sort of fight. Everyone loses at the end. So, but as I said, pain and struggle can be a rich soil for creativity. Then we have the Page of Pentacles. So that's the recent past card. You probably have already been maybe weighing it a little bit. Page of Pentacles is someone who is exploring financial or career opportunities. Maybe you've been looking for an opportunity or like the right place to, I guess it really depends on what you're working on, Pile 1. It could be obviously like a magazine publisher, etc. if it's writing, or music publisher, getting it up on Spotify or YouTube if it's music, or, a museum with art, or selling it online with art, whatever it might be, whatever your particular creativity of choices. But I think you've already been tinkering with the idea. I think you've been afraid to release it. I think you've been afraid maybe to let it out there into the ether to see how the response is. But that Page of Pentacles tells me that at least you've been considering it. You're like, well, I don't know, maybe I should. Let's keep going. The Heart of the Matter card today is the Seven of Cups reversed. Okay, then we get to the indecision. Seven of Cups reversed, my friends, is often a card of we want something, we have already considered our choices, like the Page of Pentacles talks about our different opportunities, but reverse, sometimes the Seven of Cups is that energy of stagnancy with our dreams. We have a thing, we want to do a thing, we've made a thing, etc. However, we're not so sure about making it reality versus just being within our heads. Okay, so I think the inner strength really coming forward for you, Pile 1, is not just, of course, your creativity, right? And not just your high sensitivity that feeds into that creativity and, your experiences and everything. But I think your inner strength, too, also comes from gaining the confidence here in the near future to release whatever this is, to finally make that dream a reality, or at least you're being highly encouraged in that direction. So let's look at the near future and then, of course, advice cards, too. That'll tell us more about where it's really leading. We have, okay, what did I tell you earlier, Pile 1? Remember in the very beginning, I was like, I feel like this is leading towards victory, and then you literally got the victory card with the Six of Wands. I love when that happens. It happens so often lately. I'll be like, oh, you're going to have this thing, or I bet you this card will come out, and then it comes right out. Awesome. Yeah, so Six of Wands is victory, Pile 1. This is why you're being encouraged to let this thing out into the ether, to release it, to let it go, is because it's basically like an assured victory if you do. I know you're in that reluctant stage right now because of the Seven of Cups reversed being your Heart of the Matter card. I know it's difficult. I know it's especially difficult when you're highly sensitive because you're like, man, what kind of rejection am I going to get? But I don't know. I think you're going to see a lot more success than you're expecting because of that Six of Wands. That is your near future. In fact, probably faster than you expect because you didn't even get that as your final outcome card. You got that, as I said, as the near future card. So that's like soon energy, like not too far in the future. But let's keep going. Your final card is The Nine of Pentacles reversed. Okay, so that can be a piece of advice. And the reason why I think it's reversed right now as your outcome is because you're currently still sort of stalling in that Seven of Cups reversed energy. But the beauty of tarot is it kind of gives us a snapshot of the future, not always a guaranteed future. And that's why the advice of it is so helpful, is because it can help us change that future. So, number one, as I said, you're being encouraged to do it because you're being led towards victory here if you choose to do it. But right now on the path you're on, technically the outcome is the Nine of Pentacles reversed. And that can mean that you've put a lot of effort into something, but then it doesn't pay off. And when I say that, pile one, I don't mean it as in like, oh, release it and then you won't, you're not going to get the fruits of your labor. It's that because you're hesitating right now, you're currently on that path or outcome towards not getting the fruits of your labor. However, you can change that. And the way that you can change that is having the confidence and just taking that leap of faith towards releasing it, or, creating it in the first place and then releasing it. And then you might find that that Nine of Pentacles reversed turns upright and you will get the fruits of your labor, specifically in the areas of career success and like financial gain. I know that usually with creative people, our financial gain isn't like the biggest thing that you care about, but it is nice to get paid for your work, right? Even in artistic endeavors. And so I think if you do release it, you'll see that victory with the Six of Wands, and then that Nine of Pentacles will turn around, will right side up, and you'll get the fruits of your labor, as I was saying. Now, I'm very curious about the announcement part. That's, I think, the final part of this reading I want to glean into with you, is because I want to know kind of where this announcement is coming from so that you know not to miss it. So I'm going to ask about that. Spirit, what's the announcement? What source is that coming from so that pile one doesn't miss it if they want to embark on this journey? Ooh, the Seven of Wands. Defending ourselves in some way. And it's interesting, this particular depiction is a woman going over a bridge past the current of the stream. And then let's pick a second card here. And the Two of Cups reverse, which once again makes me think there's something to do with a relationship with someone else. We talked about with the two-faced friend and the Five of Swords, but then we have literally the card of a relationship not working out. It's really odd, pile one. I don't know how this will work out, and this will sound strange, but I almost wonder if it is related to that person, for those of you that are resonating with the idea of like having been like in a fight with someone recently, or someone was like really two-faced recently. Because the Two of Cups reversed is like disharmony in a relationship, or a lack of unity, or like a relationship breaking apart. And then with the Seven of Wands, it's like you defending against something related to that. So it's like, I don't know if someone hears that you were having struggles in this way, and then they come forward and they're like, well, actually, like they hear that you're creating a project based on those feelings and that experience. And then they're like, oh, okay, well, like, I don't know. It's really odd. That, or it's like the person that you had the disunity or disharmony with actually is the one that offers you the opportunity, which is weird because normally, like, if you get in a fight with someone, you wouldn't expect them to come forward and be like, hey, there's this opportunity I heard about you might want to embark on. But I think for some of you, that might be the way that it resonates, is that that person is actually a part of what helps you. There's something that maybe they already told you about it, pile one, before you had the fight, and like you just haven't really done that thing yet. That's why it resonates in terms of like for those of you that it's coming from that person, because yeah, you might not be talking now, or you might be kind of in a fight right now, but then before maybe they had mentioned it to you. If so, don't discount their advice, even if you're not necessarily on the best terms right now. I think that might be leading you towards this golden opportunity, okay? And then for those of you, you're like, there's no way that they, either they didn't tell me anything that was like an opportunity, or like there's no way that they're going to help me in the future. Maybe it's like, for those of you that resonate with that more, it's like someone hears that you were having issues with your friendship or issues with a relationship. And I don't know, normally I wouldn't interpret the Seven of Wands this way, but I'm hearing intuitively it's like they sympathize with what you went through, and that's why they try to help you. Like the Seven of Wands is normally about defending ourselves against something, especially when we feel all alone. Maybe that's what it is, like, because they hear what you went through, they're like, oh, I can sympathize and empathize with that. I'm not so alone because I went through like a similar thing, or like they can, as I said, empathize with what you went through. That, or especially those of you that this is like a writing related thing, I almost wonder, it's been a while since I've looked at like when people accept submissions for like short stories and like books and whatnot, but it might be that they actually say that they're looking for somebody that's like writing something in the category of what you have been writing about. And it's something related to like issues in relationships and like having to defend oneself and feeling all alone in some way. It's something along those lines. Or, you know, same thing too with, I'm not sure how much like that works with like paintings or like music submission, because I haven't really seen that industry very much from the inside. I've seen writing more myself personally, but it's something along those lines. Very interesting. But when you see the opportunity, pile one, Spirit is saying like, please don't let it go, because it will lead you somewhere really good. So just to summarize today, pile one, your inner strength is actually what you might have thought was a flaw before with your high sensitivity, really turning into your golden ticket to success with your creativity. So it's actually, I mean, a hidden strength that you've had all along, and that often is what does happen in life. We've had it all along with us. We just haven't really given it the time and the opportunity to shine more, because sometimes we think of our strengths as our flaws, but then over time you realize, oh, actually, I can turn that and alchemize that into something that's actually of high benefit, and that will touch the hearts of other people. So yeah, just to summarize, your high sensitivity, your creativity, of course, too, something that's been holding you back, or you thought it was holding you back in the past, but actually that's your bridge towards this success. So if there's any advice you walk away from this reading from, is not to linger so much in indecision with this, with that Seven of Cups reversed energy. It's to make sure that if you really want it, of course you always have free will, but if you do really want it, pile one, there is an opportunity out there for you if you put your plans into action and step out of that like analysis paralysis with your dreams mode that the Seven of Cups reverse talks about, okay? And yeah, it could really change your life too. Remember, metamorphosis was another key word you had. Really changing things. So look for those opportunities around you, pile one. I think it'll lead you to a good place. Some victory, as I said, with that Six of Wands. So, beautiful. All right, that was your hidden strength reading, and, well, of course, where that hidden strength is leading you with your fate. I hope you liked the reading. I hope it resonated, and, of course, I hope that it helped you in some way. That's my number one priority with our readings on this channel. And if so, please like, please comment, please subscribe, and thank you so much if you choose to do any one of those three things, if not more than one. And as we say at our tradition on Lone Pine Tarot, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day or your night, pile one. And I hope to see you again in the woods someday soon. Bye. Hello there, pile number two. Welcome to your hidden strength reading and where it is leading. And of course, as you recall, you were drawn to limits as your pile leader. And at the very bottom here, if you can't read it on camera, your keywords are limited versus being limitless. So I feel intuitively, pile two, that this hidden strength is maybe something you will already recognize, like you already know it's there, but that for some reason in the recent past, or I guess even perhaps all the way to childhood, you had to hold it back for a certain reason. I almost sense that it might be something related to, like, a lot of you had to choose a career that wasn't necessarily like your greatest passion, because that particular thing like paid you more and it supported you more. And so thus far throughout your life, this thing has been, like your card says, have like a limit on it. But then something is coming forward, I feel, that will open up that gateway for you so that you can finally like let this passion of yours or this strength out. But we'll, of course, see with more details from your other cards. That is at least my first kind of inklings I'm getting from Spirit based on what's going on here. But let's keep going. Spirit, can you tell us more for pile two's highest, best, good? What's this hidden strength of theirs? Where is it leading? All right, well, this one is the most prominent, so we will take it. We have, oh, you know what? Pile one had this exact same card. Very funny. We have the poet with the element of fire, which is interesting because your pile leader actually has a necklace with a flame on it. So fire is quite prominent in your reading. And the keywords with poet say relationships and vulnerability. And actually, this card was also coming out quite prominently, so I'm also going to take it. We have, the Weaver with the element of water. And the keywords of rediscovery and transition. Okay, so rediscovery, that kind of makes me think once again, it's like something that you've had all along, or like it's been there, but you've lost it over time just because life got in the way. It's like something that you recently have come back to, or you shortly will. So pile 2, just reflect for a second. Have you been recently doing something that you did in childhood or years ago that you had paused for like a very long time, and like recently you just got back into it? Or have you been considering it, at least like it's been on your mind even if you haven't done it yet? Because I feel like that might be part of where this is coming from, at least it's what I'm sensing. And then I'll tell you the same thing I told pile 1 with the poet. Even though the poet is technically fire energy, which is makes sense, it's a creative type of passion, right? And fire in tarot is often about our creative passions and the things that we're excited about, our willpower, what makes us feel alive. But the keywords are relationships and vulnerability, which are more water-related things in cartomancy. And then, boom, you got water with the Weaver. So it's kind of where the fire element and the water element meet, just like pile 1 today, where your relationships and your emotions and your feelings meet the things that you can put together and create and manifest in the world physically. Some of you literally, it might be writing, or if it's not writing in the traditional sense, it could be writing like lyricism with music, okay, making lyrics and whatnot. Or it could also be something literally with like textile work, sewing, weaving things together literally. And rediscovery and transition. Whenever I think of Weaver, I always think of, what was her name? Was it Penelope in the Odyssey? The wife of Odysseus in the Odyssey. I believe her name was Penelope, but feel free to correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below. And her thing was that after Odysseus was lost at sea after the war, of course, men came sniffing around because they thought, oh, well, there's an opportunity to take over Odysseus's estate or his kingdom, etc., and, marry his wife and take his wealth and whatnot. But Penelope was such a loyal wife that what she would do is she would tell the suitors, I can't marry any one of you until I'm done weaving. I believe it was a burial shroud or something similar for Odysseus. But what she would do is every single night she would take it apart. And so she basically was never done. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because with the idea of rediscovery, I feel like, it's very possible this thing you kept doing at night, but it's like you always kind of had to put it aside, or you always kind of had to like undo it because you were so busy with other things in life. Or as I said in the very beginning, possible that it was like your career was so intense and like you had to figure out and focus just on, okay, how am I going to make money? Because unfortunately, maybe this thing you're actually really passionate about isn't in modern day an easy way to make money, which of course doesn't mean that it's a bad passion, right? It's just that, that happens all the time in life. We have these things that we're ambitious about, but we don't necessarily, already have the funds in order to support, a life living just our passion. That just happens all the time, live that myself, pile 2. So I get where you're coming from if you're resonating with that. But yeah, Penelope just makes me think of you having to kind of do it in secret, or like not secret as in you're hiding it, but like secret as in like you are, I don't know, it's not really the main thing that you care about in terms of like what you do during the day. What you really care about is what you're like doing at night with this thing, or that you wanted to do. Okay, let's keep drawing your cards. We'll reveal your tea leaves next here. I got on that side tangent about Penelope. I always like bringing up mythology, so I get excited about it and let me go on a tangent. But anyways, it was relevant to your reading. So first up with the tea leaf, we have the broken wishbone. Wish will not be granted. Or it's like maybe at one point you really wished you could do that thing as a child, and then it just, life got in the way. And then we have torch. Spiritual development, enlightenment, awareness, and understanding. So actually, it might be partially related to your spirituality, pile 2. Torch. Or I am also hearing, because there's a phrase often used in English about like passing the torch. Like it might be something that you probably or possibly inherited from like an earlier generation in your family, and your family maybe used to do that, or a lot of your forefathers or foremothers did, but you just weren't able to do it at this particular life so far as your main thing because, as I said, maybe finances and money got in the way. And then, yeah, broken wishbone makes me think of, like, you had really wished for it, but yeah, as I said, not to repeat too much, but life just got in the way, and you're like, well, I can't really do that because I got to focus on money, and this thing doesn't make me money like my main job does, so... But yeah, it might be related to spirituality, too. I mean, it could be very possible that it's a creative project that touches upon spirituality, pile 2. Let's keep going. And I'm almost hearing, too, this is really left field, but I think one of the reasons, at least in terms of life lessons and life purpose, when we're looking at this from like a top-down, like spiritual perspective, one of the reasons why this was so delayed in your life was because in this creation or this thing that you really want to do, they were waiting for your soul to be more spiritually like developed or enlightened in some way in order to make the thing that you're creating or wanting to do all that much more successful and or more like spiritually resonant, if that makes sense, is what I'm hearing. So it was delayed kind of for at least one life lesson reason. Not just because of the external like needs, of course, with finances and money, but also because there's something with your soul where, I don't know, it's like something in your life lesson plan before you incarnated on Earth this time, where they're saying it's like you had to wait because there was something in you that needed to activate before it could come to like a greater fruition, is what I'm hearing intuitively. So, Then we have, the badger and ginkgo with healing wounds. So some of you, it might literally be something to do with healing too. Of course, creative passions can heal not just ourselves, but also other people. You know, there's music therapy, there's art therapy, things like that. And then, or it might be literally related to healing people. It could be, if not just full-on creative projects, maybe you wanted to get into learning herbalism in some way, like natural healing, or becoming a nurse or doctor, or it could also mean that part of the reason why this was delayed in terms of like spirituality was because there was a wound within yourself that needed to be healed. So I wonder if you have been doing like a lot of healing recently, pile 2, and if so, whatever you've been healing from is related to the reason as to why this was delayed until now. And I almost wonder if you might be helping people heal from the same thing with whatever this is. And that's why it was like you needed to become the sage mentor that had gone through this thing yourself before you could do it in a way that would touch the hearts of others. Even if you're not seeing it as like this passion is related to literally teaching people something, even when we're doing art, we're making music, we're painting things, we're writing things, you can become a mentor of the heart and the soul in a very indirect way. Because here's the thing, every time that you've looked at, you've consumed a piece of art, right, pile 2, you always have learned at least one thing, right, or thought about life in like a slightly different way. So art can be, creative projects can be a teaching of their own, even if it's in a silent way. Okay, well, let's ask Spirit more. Spirit, can you tell us more with tarot cards about this hidden strength and where it's going? I'm more curious about where it's going, because we've talked about what the strength is, pile 2, but not so much about the future, but we have, oh god, that's so creepy. Pile 1 had the 5 of Swords, 2 as their first card. I swear to god, I shuffled everything. I mean, and when I say creepy, it's like, I don't mean that in a bad way, but like, eerie, I guess, is maybe more fitting. Because they had the Poet 2 as their first Citadel Oracle, and now they had the 5 of Swords 2 as their first tarot card, so I don't say this very often. If you are maybe also drawn to pile 1, you might want to look at that pile as well. But let's keep going with yours. So 5 of Swords does technically mean a conflict of some sort. I almost wonder, too, if maybe your inability to pursue whatever this was earlier in your life had created a lot of conflict. Maybe it created a lot of just general unease because, I mean, when we're not really following our heart or what we really want to do, of course we're going to be a little bit more upset. Of course, we're going to be a little bit more unhappy with life, right? Maybe it even created a bit of friction with your family, especially if it is a situation where it was like, maybe they wanted to pass down the torch to you and you were like, well, I'd love to do that, but I really can't because modern financial necessity is basically saying that this is not feasible. I have to do something else. So maybe there was a bit of tension there. Maybe like you wanted to pursue it, but then family fought with you because maybe like they were like the financially focused ones. It could resonate in different ways for each one of you, but some sort of conflict there. And then we have the World reversed, but it never left you because the World reversed is something that you thought would end, but it never did. I think it's been haunting you, pile 2, in a good way. But it's been haunting you in the way of, like, have you ever had one of those situations in life where there's something you've always wanted to do, and it keeps smacking you in the face every few years or whatever long time interval, and you keep wondering why does this thing keep coming back? I already kind of left that long ago. But then it keeps returning and staring you in the face. Like, well, maybe you should do this thing. But then you keep saying no. Like, that's the energy I'm getting off of this World card reversed. It's like, you wanted it to end, or, like, not wanted it to end, but, like, you wanted it to stop staring you in the face. But it was such a deep soul-level passion of yours that you just couldn't run away from it. It was like your shadow attached to your feet. You can't run away from your own shadow, pile 2, right? It's always there. It's always anchored to you. This is what I'm feeling the strength in this project of yours is, whatever it is that you're wanting to do. That, or for some of you, I could see it too. It's like you wouldn't give up. The world reverse is like, I'm not curtain closing this. I'm not giving up on this. I'm delaying it, but I'm not giving up on it. And then as the heart of the matter, we have the 4 of Swords reversed, which means, my friends, something is waking up. Because normally 4 of Swords is, we're sleepy, things are kind of tamped down, things have been kind of sitting in stasis, but reversed, finally things wake up, especially mentally. So I think the hidden strength really, pile 2, is your perseverance. I mean, you've had it all along. I know that, and I'm sure you know that too. It's weird too, because it's not just the perseverance of yourself, but the perseverance of this thing that keeps smacking you in the face every once in a while, reminding you that this really is something that you want. And like right now in the present position card, your heart of the matter with this 4 of Swords reversed, it's like, oh, it's finally waking up. Like this opportunity is finally coming forward for you to be able to do this. Like this new horizon is just spreading open in front of you, and you're like, oh, now I can see the possibilities with this thing that I really wanted to do. I think that's where this is leading. It's something's waking up. Good tidings. And then we have the 6 of Pentacles reversed. Now that can be an advice card, but this is also a near future card. And then we'll talk about that in a second. We have for the outcome card and also advice, the Queen of Wands, though. It's a good outcome card to get. I'll tell you this, pile 2. You currently are on a trajectory right now towards this opportunity opening up for you to do this thing that you've always wanted to do, because of that 4 of Swords reversed especially, but also the Queen of Wands as an outcome is, well, it can be a person, and that might represent you, especially if you are a feminine fire sign or you have a lot of fire placements in your astrological chart. But it can also represent someone who is finally confident in who they are and what they want, and they're finally able to pursue what it is that they're looking for, okay? And she's, I don't know, maybe some of you are into farming. Maybe it's always you wanted to be like a farmer, or you wanted to always have like a homestead of some sort. She's literally, having cattle follow her through the wilderness. Finally being happy, finally being able to follow her passion, because that's another thing that fire and the Queen of Wands represent in tarot is someone who follows their passion, especially where it links up with their heart, because she is feminine energy meeting passion in some way. Okay, so I don't know, I feel like some of you might even be moving too. I don't know, are some of you moving? Might be related to that too. Maybe it's someplace that you always wanted to go, because sometimes I see the Wands cards as related to travel too. But we do have that 6 of Pentacles reversed in the near future position / advice. And the 6 of Pentacles reversed can be a card of feeling like something has been unfair. I think in the near future, you might still struggle a little bit with following whatever this is, because you might be held back by the feeling of how unfair it has been for you up until this point to not have been able to pursue what this is, if that kind of makes sense, pile 2. I think, I almost wonder if some of you, I know no family cards really came up, but I'm getting an intuitive sense. I wonder if some of you, it was like your siblings were able to follow a passion of theirs, but you weren't. Like you were always supposed to be the responsible one, and then your siblings had the freedom to do whatever they wanted, and like now it's switching towards you're able to follow what you want to do. Like they got to earlier in life, but now you get to later in life. I guess I say that because even though there aren't any family cards, the Six of Pentacles reversed can mean like something wasn't distributed equally in terms, especially like with career and finance. So I wonder like maybe your parents like paid for them to do something, your siblings, but like you were just expected to be the responsible one, or for some of you where it basically was like your parents wanted you to do whatever this was. Like, as I said, if you're resonating with the passing down the torch metaphor, but like you said, well, no, I can't because I have to worry about financial things. Like, that's not feasible anymore. Like, maybe your siblings had to kind of take it up and like you thought maybe they resented you over doing like your own thing, more focusing on money or something along those lines. In general, though, however you resonate with that, whether it feels like, you know, life was unfair to you in terms of your siblings getting something you wanted, or maybe like your siblings, you fear that they resent you for like you getting to do something different, even though it's not what you really wanted to do at the same time. I don't know. It's one of those conflicting situations in life. However that resonates, pile 2. Your best advice here is to let go of the idea of unfairness, as hard as that might be. So for some of you, it might be letting go of the idea of your siblings resenting you for unfairness, or perceived unfairness is what I should say, or in letting go too of the idea of if you felt that your siblings got more than you, which they very possibly could have. I'm not saying that they didn't. Spirit's not saying that either, but it's better to let that baggage go to make you feel that much lighter and freer to follow what it is that you want to do now that you have the opportunity. Okay, so it's not saying, you know, that you might not have been, you know, unfavored in some way, or that you didn't suffer or struggle in some way, pile 2, but at the same time, Spirit's just saying, you know, when it comes to feelings of unfairness, travel lightly. Let things go that no longer serve you, especially when they happened far in the past regarding that unfairness or unequal distribution of income or money or whatever it might be, okay? Because there's so much opening up for you. They don't want you to feel guilty and or feel I don't know, do it out of the passion of what you really want to do rather than the feeling of, what's the best way to put it? Out of resentment, I guess, is maybe the best word to use, okay? Just travel lightly emotionally with this and focus on the future instead of the past. And that might also kind of speed up the healing of wounds here, although I think a lot of you have already been working through healing through a lot of these wounds, and that's part of the reason why this is opening up for you now. So just to summarize, pile 2, your hidden strength really is your perseverance. As I said, that's number one prominent thing coming forward, is persevering through struggle and persevering through unhappiness to finally find it later on in life. Persevering through, I would almost call it a spiritual suffering of some sort, but continuing with it anyways and believing in your ability to follow what you want anyways and holding on to that dream for a very long time, okay? And that will lead you towards a path of that Queen of Wands, of being able to hold that torch, which, speaking of, literally she's a fire card and you have torch, and the wands themselves are the symbols of fire in tarot, okay? So I think for those of you that wanted to take on the torch, you might finally be able to. And it will lead you to a place of greater happiness, and especially with that Queen of Wands, that success in terms of your ambitions and your confidence. You're feeling alive. That's another thing I always associate with the wand suit and tarot, because you're finally following what your heart and your soul wanted all along. Okay. So don't be afraid and travel emotionally lightly into the future, and I think you'll find exactly what you're looking for. Pile 2. Beautiful. So that was your reading today on your hidden strength and where it's leading. I hope you liked it. I hope it resonated. And number one, I hope that it helped you in some way, because that's my main concern with these readings. You walk away feeling helped in some manner. And if so, please like the video. Please comment down below. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already. And thank you so much if you choose to do any one of those 3 things, if not more than one. And as we say in our tradition on Lone Pine Tarot, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day or your night. And I hope to see you again in the woods someday soon. Bye, pile 2. Hello there, pile number 3. Welcome to your hidden strengths and where it is leading reading. And of course, as you recall, you were drawn to the card of support as your pile leader. And I don't know if you can see this on camera, but the keywords at the bottom are discouraged versus encouraged. So I almost wonder, and this is what I'm feeling intuitively, if this hidden strength is something that was initially in your life very discouraged in some way, maybe in your childhood it was seen as a flaw, either by yourself, very possibly, but also perhaps by your family and other people around you at that time. But then now, at this point in your life, it's something that's finally blossoming, and you're almost shifting your perspective in some way on, instead of seeing it as a flaw, it really is a strength of yours. So I think that's where this thing is all stemming from. But of course, we'll see more details with your other cards. Let's put your pile leader over here and start shuffling, calling on spirit for your highest, best good. Can you tell us more about this hidden strength of pile 3s? Now, pile 1 and 2 today had a lot of synchronicities, but we'll see if you do too, pile 3. We have, let's see, I'm feeling drawn to this one, kind of tucked away. We have Catalyst, or the Catalyst, I should say, with the element of fire, with radical changes and taking control. Could also be, as I said before, you perhaps considered it a flaw because it was something that was hard to control. And now in your life, you're finally getting to the point of, this is something that I can control, and it's something that I can actually alchemize into positive change rather than seeing it as a burden or something that, like, bothers me. What an interesting strength. We'll keep going, but the Catalyst. And radical changes. And I almost wonder, too, pile 3, if it is going to lead to radical change in your life in some way because of that card. We have the Staff. You will be taken care of in difficult times. You know, I wonder if it might also stem from something that you did as a coping mechanism when you had difficult times earlier in your life. Like a staff, or I almost think of a cane. Like, you know, we always think of a cane as symbolic of, a thing that we lean on when it's hard to walk forward. I mean, well, literally, obviously, but also metaphorically speaking. You thought it was a weakness, but it's not. And it's the catalyst for radical change. Then we have the dog with barking. Advice from a friend. You know, and I wonder, too, if maybe a friend recently, or even if it's not just a friend, could be a family member, could be a lover of some sort, partner, etc. Maybe they pointed it out to you recently. Oh, maybe even with therapy. It could be a therapist, too. To help change your perspective on whatever this was. From you seeing it as a flaw, but really it was something that supported you in a hard time, as I said, maybe like a coping mechanism. Well, now I'm just looking to it. Your pile leader was support. Like it was something that really, I don't know. Yeah, you thought it was a flaw, but it's not. I'm sorry I'm repeating that so much, pile 3, but that's being emphasized here with spirit. And like a friend told you recently, like, well, maybe you should look at it in this way instead. Maybe at first you kind of rejected it. You were like, well, I don't know. Like that was just a coping mechanism, or actually that's a flaw. Or, you know, a lot of this can stem too from, as I said, childhood, in terms of maybe your parents or your family when you were young thought this was a bad thing, but it wasn't. But then maybe you kind of carry that with you up until this point in your life. And then we have the butterfly and snowdrop with hope. What a beautiful message. Hope, and also butterflies represent transformation and metamorphosis, because they do transform from, obviously, caterpillar into the butterfly. And two, when I think of the metaphor of the cocoon, you know, the caterpillar takes time out of life to rest, to change. I wonder, too, if you had to slow down in some way, too, and you felt bad about it because you thought, like, I can't slow down because then I feel like I'm either unable to do things, or like I'm not moving fast enough in life, or I'm not achieving things fast enough in life. But actually that slowing down, pile 3, like, yes, of course, there was probably a struggle there. I'm not going to say there wasn't, but at the same time, there's something that happened in that slowing down, in what you perceived as a flaw, that actually is the metamorphosis that's bringing you this radical change that I think will change your life for that much better. And two, when I think about support and advice from a friend, if there's at least like a bit of wisdom to carry with you, of course we'll see more with your tarot cards, is to not discount what your friends or the people around you are saying in support of this thing that you thought was bad. Because I think they're right. I think they're right, and actually this is a strength of yours. Let's keep going with your tarot cards. Usually I don't go to the tarot cards quite yet, but this is quite mystifying, pile 3. Of course, you, on your end, are probably already kind of knowing what this is, because you're like, oh yeah, I already know what this thing that I thought was a flaw was, and my friend brought up the other day, etc., or however that resonated, but me as the tarot reader, I'm like, what is this? I know I can describe the things around it, but what is it? Okay, let's keep going. Spirit, tarot cards, please. Thank you. We have, oh, that's a lot of cards. The Eight of Swords reversed. You know, maybe it was something with your mental state. Because Eight of Swords, well, swords in general are about your mental state and challenges in, like, your mind in tarot. And the Eight of Swords especially is, like, we freed ourselves from something that was holding us back before, mentally especially. Depression? Anxiety? Because that's usually what crops up with the Eight of Swords. Depression, anxiety, let's keep going. Ooh, and then we have more swords. We have the King of Swords, though, but you overcame it, pile 3. You already did it. Or at least you've already made major strides towards overcoming whatever this was. I think it is something mental, pile 3, because of all the swords coming up. It was a coping mechanism you did mentally. And that's often what happens in terms of, at least I can speak from the experience of anxiety, right? I've done that a lot myself. I've had that issue, where in a way it can be a coping mechanism because, at least, like, with me personally, I won't go too far off on this tangent, but just to explain, like, social anxiety, right? I used to have it really bad, especially as a kid. And then ironically, I do YouTube, talking to people being social, right? You know, life lessons, right? But basically, like, with social anxiety, it was a coping mechanism in that because I had had social rejection when I was a child, I always thought, well, if I stay away from people, then I won't get that rejection again. But then it becomes a coping mechanism because it's staying away from, yes, more bad social rejection, but it also keeps you away from positive social experiences with others, because that anxiety teaches you as a self-defense mechanism, like, well, if I just stay away, then I won't get hurt again. So that's what I mean when I'm saying it's like a mental coping mechanism. Now, for you, it might not have been social anxiety, or maybe it was, right? But I'm just speaking, like, from an example from my own life, right? But you overcame it. You already made great strides, pile 3. Look at that, King of Swords. You already mastered it. You're already getting through it. So, number 1, pat yourself on the back for what you already did, because that's not easy, overcoming whatever mental struggle this was. And some of you too, it might not be literally like just anxiety or just depression. Maybe it was a coping mechanism in terms of something that you did to, like, you know, sometimes people turn to alcohol or drugs, or sometimes people turn to like shopping addiction, or like there's just a bunch of different addictions that might pop up. I won't name them all, obviously, but, and that, of course, you probably looked at it in the past and you're like, God, this is such a flaw. I feel so bad about myself. I wish I didn't have this problem. But then something is blossoming out of that now that became, or is becoming, your strength, that I almost wonder if you might help other people with whatever this was, pile 3, because of the support card. And also advice from a friend, giving people hope, helping take care of other people in difficult times that maybe you already went through yourself. I wonder if some of you might be helping people with addictions or mental, like depression and anxiety or something like that. That's what I'm feeling intuitively, because you already got through it. And sometimes, actually most of the time, I won't say sometimes, the best teachers of overcoming really hard mental problems are people that are already healed through it themselves. Let's keep going, though. That's what I'm feeling. You have a lot of mental energy with all the swords, so I'm like, well, Heart of the Matter card today is the 9 of Wands. Yes, you persevered. You survived. Okay, so number 1, or number 2, because I already said that before at the King of Swords, but number 2, pat yourself on the back, extra, pile 3, because look at that. That is literally the survivor card. I survived something very difficult. It's actually a really beautiful reading. I'm trying not to get teary. That's wonderful, pile 3. Yeah, so commend yourself for that, because that's not easy. Really not easy. I don't know what it is you went through, but holy crap. So please don't be hard on yourself, I guess. I know this is a hidden strength reading, but really this is prominently part of the message coming through, is please don't be hard on yourself for what it is you went through, or don't feel guilty about it, I guess, if you've already healed, because it's like, you've already done the work and I mean, yes, there can be those regrets of like, oh man, I feel like I wasted years of my life on this particular thing I had a problem with, or oh, I missed so many opportunities because of this thing that I went through. But there's something really beautiful blossoming out of this. Just like that caterpillar going through the cocoon and becoming the butterfly, and literally it says like hope. And also the snowdrop, I think the reason why it's called that is because it's one of the first flowers that grows after the harsh winter, right? Just like you, pile 3, you really had a harsh winter, metaphorically speaking. Or maybe multiple harsh winters, right? And then finally it's like we're blossoming and we're showing the beauty that can come out of struggle and change. So, yep, try not to get teary. Oh, look at that, the 5 of Cups. Helping people with their sadness. And I think, too, that can mean, because that's the near future card for you, pile 3, that you might still have some sadness to kind of go through, and that's very natural. I mean, a lot of healing from struggles is... It's over time. It's a process. It's not just a one day you wake up and you're like, oh, I'm fine. A lot of it, it's like I said with my own social anxiety, I still have that problem. I still struggle with it. But really what it is it's like just pushing yourself to do it anyway. It's like part of the reason why I do YouTube is literally like I got to teach myself to talk to people more. Like, even strangers I don't even know on the internet. But I think that's where it's leading, pile 3. I think you're supposed to help people with their sadness. And also 5 of Cups can indicate... Traditionally, it can be an indicator of like alcoholism, so maybe that was what you struggled with, or what you might help other people with in the future is things like that, but I guess it can mean substances in general too. You are the wounded healer, pile 3. You are the one that already went through it to hell and back, and then you came back to heal others. And then we have the 6 of Pentacles reversed as your outcome. So that can be a little bit of a warning, but just hear me out, pile 3. That can be a little bit of a warning that right now, because of the guilt you feel over this, or because you still perceive this perseverance and this survival. Well, that's another thing. Just to summarize, your hidden strength is being a survivor. That's your hidden strength today. Anyways, and also healing other people because of it. You might still be on the path towards this feeling of guilt and sadness. That might be also why the 5 of Cups came up in your near future. And that might lead you to a path of unfairness, which has been kind of a prominent theme in a lot of these readings today. I don't know. And what I mean by unfairness is unfairness to yourself. Okay? Sometimes because we feel so guilty over what happened in the past, we can be a little bit too harsh on ourselves in the future, and that can lead us to unhappiness even more, on top of missing out on, especially with being Pentacles, financial or career opportunities, because of that feeling of like, oh, well, I mean, sometimes you might even feel like you don't deserve better, which is really sad, but that's just how it works. We've all been there. We've all done things where we're like, man, I really don't deserve better. But what Spirit is telling you, pile 3, is you do deserve better, okay? Because of what you survived and because of how much better you've become. And really, like, I know you see it as a flaw. I understand that. But really, you have a really grand opportunity here to turn this into what already is a strength because of your survival, right? Because that's not easy. It would have broken a lot weaker people, from what I can tell here intuitively. But you have a really grand opportunity here to help other people survive what you went through. Okay, so if there's anything you take away from this reading today, well, number 1, pat yourself on the back. I said it before, but I'll say it again because it's important, right? But number 2, you can turn what was an ugly thing, what you thought was a flaw, into something very beautiful for other people and for yourself by healing others because of what you went through. Okay. So that's where it's really leading, is to give other people hope, to be maybe that friend that gives advice, to be people's support during difficult times that they can lean on, to literally be support. And that's the unfortunate thing, is sometimes the reason why we're drawn to certain things is because in the past we didn't have support with what we were going through. And so we vow to ourselves, I'm going to be that support for other people that I didn't have, so that they don't have to go through what I did. So that's kind of what I'm feeling for you intuitively here. Once again, I'm trying not to be, I'm not trying to be emotional. Okay, blah. Calm down. All right. So yes, it's probably just picking up on a lot of sadness, pile 3. So be kind to yourself, okay? And just know that there's a lot of beauty in what you think is a flaw. All right, it's actually a hidden strength here that you could turn into something that's very, as I said, beautiful for others and beautiful for yourself. So, okay. Yeah, and I wonder, maybe you might even go into being a therapist for other people because you went through that same thing, like people specifically that went through the thing that you went through, because you went through it for yourself. It could also be helping people in groups, support groups that are going through the same thing that you went through. It could even be in terms of your creativity. Maybe you create or write, paint, or make music with something related to the pain of what you went through. And that can also be a mentor and a teacher and a healer to other people through the beauty of art. Okay. So just easier said than done. Don't be sad about it anymore. Don't feel guilty about it anymore. Because there's a lot of purpose you can follow in the future with this, okay? So, all right. So, well, that was your hidden strength reading today, pile 3. I'm sorry I got emotional. I'm like, oh, this is tough, but it's a beautiful thing. It's a wonderful thing that this is turning into. Okay, so number 1, I'm really happy you're here. Number 2, I'm emotional. Okay. Anyways, we'll cut off the reading now. Before I get more emotional. All right. I hope you liked the reading. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that it helped you and it resonated in some way, because my number 1 concern with these readings is that you feel helped in some way. That's what matters most. And if so, please like, please comment, please subscribe. And thank you so much if you choose to do any one of those 3 things, if not more than one. And as we say in our tradition on Lone Pine Tarot, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day or your night, pile 3. And I hope to see you again in the woods sometime soon. Bye.